Jerry and Charlie riding through the airwaves, bringing you the heat. Come on, pull your muffins. Now get up out your seat. They're bringing you all things Mets. They're bringing you all things Mets. They're bringing you all things Mets. Now you're listening to Shea Station.
Today is Friday, June 13th, episode 223 of the Shea Station podcast. I'm a sad guy this morning. I'm not going to lie to you, Jerry Blevins, who's joining me today as co-host. Jerry's in New York, and you may be wondering why the hell aren't these two guys together? It's because I am so far away in Jersey City, New Jersey, filming at the warehouse. The stars did not align for an in-person pod, but that didn't stop us. Jerry's in his hotel room. I'm in a dinky corner room in the warehouse. We're going to make it work because we got good Mets baseball to talk about. Back-to-back sweeps of lowly National League teams. The Mets are cruising. Best record in baseball. Best home record in baseball. The offense is coming alive. Juan Soto's back. David Peterson, a frontline ace, one of the best left-handers in baseball. So much good to talk about that we couldn't pass up the opportunity to record a pod. Jerry, how the hell you doing?
I'm great. I'm happy. I'm in New York. Like it's summertime in New York. It's perfect. I am sad that we're not together. You're always this is what 0 for 3 the last three times I've been
Yeah,
in town.
it was a flight to Louisville the last time. Maybe I'm just dodging you. I
I was
don't
gonna
actually
say
want to see you.
some people might say you're dodging me.
When was the last time? It was when we saw that Broadway show together. Has it been that long?
Has it been?
Since
I
Stereophonic? I don't know.
I think there was a time in between there, but I'm not
Maybe.
sure.
Something like that.
All right, but that's okay. You'll stop dodging me one of these days. You guys are big time with your MLB, collaboration or coexistence, I guess, with you sold out to the big bad wolf in MLB. But congrats on that, and your access should be amazing. All-Star game stuff will be awesome. So
We'll see. But my main focus right now is the boys in blue and orange. And hopefully we have a lot of representatives at that freaking All-Star game. It's about time. It's going to be long overdue for some of them. I won't name names. We haven't chatted in a while. I did the Dodgers pod by myself, but the Mets have been playing good ball for a while. We didn't get a chance to, talk about that four-game set. I thought they played good ball there, except for that last game collapse kind of put a damper on the whole thing. And I was worried because of all the parks in baseball, there's none more invariable than Coors Field. And you never know what's going to happen, especially when you're coming off maybe something that is a momentum killer of a loss. But the Mets went in there and they took care of business. We're honestly not going to spend too much time on this Rockies series just because the Rockies are just a bummer to watch and they've continued to lose. Although they got a nice win yesterday against the Giants. I think they were down 7-2 and they brought it back. Did you see who's mashing for the San Francisco Giants right now
is
at
it
first
still
base?
is it still Wilmer?
So it's still Wilmer, but it's also another 2010s Met who we loved. Dom Smith has been playing first base
Oh,
for
that's
them
right.
and mashing. So shout out Dom. I think he had a homer at Coors yesterday. Um,
Nice.
the Mets did not allow a lot of opposing runs to score in their Colorado series. Um, the news piece that came and went in the time that we've spent apart is Francisco Lindor has a broken pinky toe, which I don't know how broken pinky toes work, but I guess he's just healed now because he's been playing every day. Can you, Dr. Blevins, can you rationalize this?
It's a pain tolerance,
Yeah.
and when it's fractured and fresh, it's it's so small of a bone, and you don't think of it as a big deal, but it's such an important role in balance and moving, and for a shortstop or any ball player bouncing back and forth, it's pain tolerance. It's not healed, but the he's like he's an Iron Man. He likes to be out there. He's figuring it out. He's played with worse. Still impressive though. So it isn't healed, but it's healed enough to where he can be out there.
Yeah, he played with a fractured finger in 2022, so I guess this is just child's play to him. He didn't play in game one, or at least he didn't start in game one, and the Mets offense was sputtering until he came up with that big two-out, two-run double in the ninth inning. A game that the Mets were very close to losing. There was a really bad bases loaded, nobody out, three straight strikeouts for the Mets offense. Shout out Jake Bird, who's nasty. But my favorite bit from not only this game but the whole Colorado series is that the Mets get this win. They win 4-2. Diaz gets the save, and then they've been doing their team celebration kick, which is a Pete Alonso vehicle, which shouldn't shock anybody because it's a little bit clumsy and kind of funny. And Lindor's in the dugout because he's not on the field, and he goes running out to go join it. And Antoine Richardson, the first base coach, is telling him, "Stop, stop, don't run, stop." Just keeps going. Can't stop him. Iron Man. I loved it. I
He
think,
said, "Nope, I can handle it. This is why we play.
yeah,
This is why we do what we do. It's to celebrate a W together."
I
So
think it
I
was
get it.
Will Salmon that had a really
I
good
love
piece on
Antoine.
that. Please,
Antoine's
please.
like he's like a third base coach giving him the hold sign, and he's running right through it.
Well, because 10 years ago, with the Wilpon era and all the bad luck that team had, you just know if Francisco Lindor did something like that back then, oh, the whole foot is fractured now, or oh, he's out for 3 weeks. Who knows? But no, these Mets are different. After that game, they really just mashed their way out of Colorado. A lot of long balls. I mean, Pete and McNeil both had two homers in the last game each. Juan Soto reached base in all six plate appearances in the finale. Ronnie Mauricio got a home run. Jared Young got a home run. Lindor went 3 for 5 in the second game there. Mets put up 21 runs in the last two games. It's tough to watch Colorado pitching. I feel for those fans. We kind of did this the last time we talked about the Rockies, so I won't do it too much here. Um, but the Mets, it's just nice. The Mets take care of business. They've been beating up bad teams. I know you're going to have people say, well, they're doing all this winning against the bad teams. Well, what's the alternative? Playing down to competition. So shout out them for getting the job done on the road. It's never easy to sweep a series on the road, no matter where you're playing. The San Francisco Giants have been playing great ball. They lost the opener in Colorado. So there's your evidence. But the big meat and potatoes and the real highlights from this past week of baseball came in this National series. And the Nationals have been playing good baseball as well. A lot of the guys from the Juan Soto trade have been paying huge dividends for them. Mackenzie Gore is your MLB strikeout leader. James Wood looks like he's the real deal. CJ Abrams is probably bound for the All-Star roster again. So this team is not exactly one to roll over. And we kind of saw that in the initial DC series where the Mets ended up splitting that series because of a couple pretty rough blown leads, including a 7-1 lead that got away. So this, in my mind, was kind of an important series of like, let's get those wins back. Let's prove that we are infinitely better than the opposing roster. But game one was tough because the Mets don't hit it well against left-handed pitching, and they don't really hit well against strikeout-laden pitchers, even though they strike out the least in the big leagues. And Griffin Canning was the guy going up against him, and it's been weird. I know that the Griffin Canning story was a surprising one and a fun one, and you probably could have guessed that he was due for a little bit of regression, but his past four starts, he's got an ERA over 6. He's been hitting around a little bit. The one good start he's had in that stretch actually has been against the Dodgers, funnily enough, but he got roughed up again here. 5 1/3, 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, 2 home runs in this game as well. Was there anything you saw from his start that was kind of telling of his struggles, or is it just kind of the ebb and flow of a long regular season?
To me, it's the ebb and flow. I mean, I think his walks are have been up over the last four starts, especially. I think that's the most telling. But he still looks the same to me. I think he's just missing the spots a little bit more, and you're going to get that. Like I said, ebb and flow. I still like what I see. Obviously, he was due for a little bit of regression just because that's the way the world works. When you don't have Jacob deGrom stuff, you get sometimes you get hit up a little bit. But I still like what I see from him. He looks really good.
And the Mets are going to need him because they got an injury in the last game, which we will definitely talk about. One starter has gone down. More starters are coming back on the way, but he does have a bit of a rough time here. The Mets do keep it close because Juan Soto has really started to look like Juan Soto. This was his fourth straight home game with a home run. He gets one to left center field off of Mackenzie Gore. This was a beautiful swing. This got it to a 3-2 deficit, and we started to see the curtain get peeled back a little bit on the Mets bullpen inner workings here. I think it was a waiver claim of this guy Justin Garza, who hadn't pitched since 2023. He came from the Giants system. They currently have the best bullpen in baseball. But me and a bunch of John Boy people are at the game. I think it's like a group of 15 of us. Everyone's having a good time. I'm on the edge of my seat because every game is live or die if you're a diehard like myself. And Garza comes in this game, two guys on, one out for his first appearance in almost 2 years. And I was confused because the bullpen plan had made sense at that point. It had gone um, Castillo to Buto, and I thought it was going to be another leverage reliever, maybe Ryan Stanek or something like that. Instead, it's this guy who I've never seen before comes in, absolute nails, throwing 96-mile-per-hour sinkers, 90-mile-per-hour cutters, looks absolutely nasty. Gets a pair of strikeouts against Alex Call and Robert Hassel III. I mean, we talked a little bit about bullpen concerns throughout the entire season, just of guys going down, guys getting hurt, guys not having options. The Mets continue to just find a way. I don't know. I mean, I mentioned Jose Castillo at the beginning of this. Did you know that he hasn't given up a run since becoming a New York Met? He came over with an ERA of like 20 from Arizona, a bullpen that can't produce a single good reliever right now. He's gone 8 2/3, no earned runs. I don't know what the secret is. I'm sure you don't know either, but I just I have to shout him out because it was insane. I couldn't believe what I was watching when I was in the stands with this guy.
Yeah, man. I don't know what the secret is. It's not a secret though. That's the thing. Like guys just feel comfortable. The Mets have great scouting and a great pitching department to be able to say, "Hey, this is who you are," and they'll give you the data that says this. This is where we think you can be at your best. Feel free to go ahead and tweak it in between, but this is what our brain trust thinks that you'll be at your best. And you get this and you're like, okay, let's try this. Obviously the guys will give up a run, I think, at some point, but they look nasty. This is, and according to Garza, I was laughing about this. Um, he started like figuring out that he can trust his stuff by playing MLB The Show. Did you read that at all?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh
That's
yeah, so
amazing.
he like would go into the catcher view and he's like, "Oh, I could throw this cutter here and I could do that." It literally like seeing it like basically in a VR type stuff it helped him in his confidence and moving forward on how to pitch. It's amazing.
It's a brave new world. And you know what? I'm never going to get a better segue than this. So I have to ask you. You tweeted this like a week ago. You showed your kids you in a video game for the first time. Can I ask what game it was?
It was the show 18.
Okay.
So
What
it
was your rating in that game? Is it like especially good?
was a good one. It was a good one. It was
Nice.
the best one for me with my curveball. My curveball, I think, is a 99 in the game.
Oh, you were cheat coding
Um,
that game. Okay.
it was awesome. Like they were really into it for about 45 seconds. It was cool. And then they were like, "Yeah, let's play some Minecraft, Dad, or
You know
let's
what?
go out."
They got good taste. Okay. That game
I'm
is
uh, I'm
timeless.
I'm officially addicted to Minecraft, by the
It's
way.
so good. Well, the rite of passage for every adult my age is that 2 weeks every year you get rehooked into Minecraft and you play it nonstop and then you drop it. And then the next year comes and you do it again. It's
Is,
part of your brain.
is, is that the updates?
It's the update in your brain. It's like, oh, it's time to play Minecraft again. It's time to relive that part of your life.
I'm all in right now.
It's key.
Like I'm obsessive. I have an addictive personality, and right now I'm literally watching YouTube videos and
Oh, you're like really sucked in.
yeah, I'm sucked in. My whole trip over was reading about the Mets and reading and watching YouTube videos. Like it's wild.
Jerry, I'm telling you, if you start live streaming you just playing Minecraft and talking about the Mets, 1,000 viewers minimum,
There
minimum.
we go.
New side hustle. This brings us to the eighth inning of this game. It's a 3-2 game. I think I'm gonna give my unofficial, unlicensed at bat of the weekend or week, I guess, to Starling Marte. Two out, nobody on. Jose Ferrer, who throws gas, is on the mound. It looks like he's dealing. And I'm getting worried in the stands because Kyle Finnegan is due up for the ninth inning. He's been a very reliable closer for the Nats for a long time. Kind of has the Mets number a little bit in recent years as well. Starling Marte comes up. Hey, I'm going to be open and upfront. I said that this guy is kind of clogging up a roster spot. I know about his relationship with Soto, but what could he really provide to this team in his last year of this contract with his declining speed, declining defense, all that? Marte's been swinging an incredible bat over the last 3 weeks. They look like real veteran, disciplined at bats. And this, I think, was the cream of the crop. He works a 7 pitch, 2 out walk just to get on base and see what can happen for the guys behind him. And those guys were Juan Soto and Pete Alonso. And I want to talk about batting order position too a little bit later in the show when we talk about Brandon Nimmo. But this rotation in the 2 hole, Carlos Mendoza, it feels like he's done it again. He's just found a way to make guys find their spot and make it work. And part of that is this Marte Nimmo rotation, the two hole, because Marte gets on, Soto cranks a double. This breaks it a 1 run game. They bring in Finnegan early. So even if the Mets didn't tie the game there, at the very least, okay, this guy has to get hot, sit, and we'll see how he looks in the ninth inning. Instead, Pete lights the stadium on fire. It was so loud. And I keep watching back that broadcast highlight because it sounds like a playoff game, and it's a Tuesday in June. Pete rocks an RBI single, gets thrown out at second base, but that's fine. The game's tied 4-4. Just none of that happens without Starling Marte right there. I thought that was such a clutch at bat. And I think at one point he was down 1-2 in the count and just really good takes through and through. And I honestly, at the end of it, that's kind of the difference in the game because when the Mets are tied late in the game and they have the combination of Edwin Diaz and Reed Garrett, the advantage goes to them. But what'd you think?
Uh, you nailed so many of these topics, but I'm going to be forthcoming here. I'm gonna eat crow here. I was wrong about Starling Marte. I thought he was done. I truly thought he was just like a clubhouse guy, like a person, a veteran, able to not just handle the young guys and keep them motivated to keep Juan Soto in the right frame of mind. I thought his playing days at a higher level were over, but his at bats, like he's not the same player. He's not that, but he's not done either. That's the thing. You're right. That at bat was such a key part of everything. And shout out to Mets fans for feeling it, adding to the level going up. Like it was a fever pitch. It's been amazing hearing, like feeling like you're in that atmosphere. But Marte looks more than usable, and that is, and again, I will eat crow on that because I thought it was over. He's been a really good piece. Hat tip to Carlos Mendoza for the lineup shifts. Like you talked about that. We'll talk about it with Nimmo, especially. I wrote some notes on that. But his willingness to move around, the guts that it takes, and the guys buying into it. These are superstar high, not just high ego, but high confidence, don't mess with my confidence kind of guys. To be able to move around and shuffle in there, it's because Mendoza is such a good leader and a strong verbal communicator. Um, brilliant moves. But hat tip to both Mendoza, but especially to Marte. I thought you were done, bud.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. I think a lot of Mets fans probably would join you in that sentiment. And, if his value was making Soto comfortable alone, I guess that was valuable enough. But it's way better when he can also give you, a 750 OPS, gives you a good at bat once a game. Like that's all you really need from him at this point. And it's so funny that you mentioned, veterans and guys with a lot of pride because the Mets, especially the position players on this roster, there's such a disparity of like these guys are either 8 to 10 year veterans like your Lindors, your Nimmos, your Alonsos, Martes, all those guys, or they're brand new, like Ronnie Mauricio, who's like first time up since 2023. Vientos is second real year in baseball. That it's so hard, I feel like, to juggle that and understand your players when they're so different across the board. So shout out Mendoza again. I mean, I think that there was when he first got hired, there was warnings from Yankee fans because he came from a Yankee coaching staff of like the lineup shifts might get annoying because the Yankees were known for that for a while. And it's just worked. It hasn't been too much. It hasn't ever really felt that way. It's only been when it's felt necessary, like with Lindor moving up to the leadoff hole and getting Nimmo out of the cleanup spot and all that stuff. It's just there's a real acute game awareness when it comes to Carlos Mendoza. You can tell that he's always paying attention. And it paid off here. It paid off in a big way. It might have won the Mets a game because Edwin Diaz to Reed Garrett, ninth to 10th inning, six up, six down. These two are so much fun to watch, man. I mean, Reed Garrett, the whole high leverage narrative, I think is out the window. I think he can handle it now. He's looked the part. He's gotten a couple saves this year. He's been Mr. Extra Inning, too. He's pitched 4 extra innings this year. He's allowed no earned runs, and he's stranded 3 of the 4 ghost runners that he's inherited, which is as far as ghost innings go, that's pretty remarkable. It's one of the best numbers I've seen. The bullpen in this game was nails, 4 and 2/3 innings, no earned runs, 1 hit, and then so much fun. Jeff McNeil doesn't wait at all in the 10th inning, sees the first pitch, ropes a walk-off single. The place goes absolutely nuts. We're going to talk about Jeff McNeil as well, swinging a great bat. The Mets get a really fun win, 5-4 in game one. A game that I was saying to all my friends who I was with at that game, They should not have won that game. Mackenzie Gore fully outdueled our starting pitcher. We were using our last guy on the totem pole in the bullpen to get key outs in the eighth inning. There was two out, nobody on, down 2 runs in the eighth inning. This was a game that the Mets had no business winning, but because they were the better team and they played like it, they were able to get it done, and that kind of paved the way, momentum wise, for game two. And I can't wait for you to talk about David Peterson. I know you've been sitting in your chair about to combust because David Peterson was masterful in game two. Complete game shutout, first complete game of his career. Please go.
It was masterful. It's so fun to watch. From a pitcher standpoint, like somebody that it's artful. Like the way it's artistically driven because he does everything really well. From simple things like his delivery, his tempo, to holding base runners, to fielding his position. He does all the little things very, very well. And then on top of that, like for him to mature as a pitcher, to be fully healthy, um, I'm going to talk this singular performance, but then just kind of bigger picture. This performance was what he's capable of. This wasn't a, perfect game from Dallas Braden. No offense to my boy Dallas, but this wasn't one of those. You know what I mean? This was like this guy just diced him up. It was bread and butter. Nothing was like stand out. It wasn't there. It just was a performance that you can see him repeating on some time, like on occasion throughout the season. He might toss up a CG, because he's capable of doing it. And to think about where he came from the guy who was yanked so many times early, and you could see it frustrate him, but he swallowed some pride. He earned those outings to go deeper, and he kept chipping away at his manager, saying, "Hey man, leave me in. I'll show you that I can do it." And he kept doing it, and this is the culmination. Truly wonderful to watch. I enjoyed watching him do all of it because I love watching Edwin Diaz pitch, who you mentioned, but with a runner on, this guy I could steal second and third base.
Yeah.
It's just not something that it's just not something that he can focus on. And I don't want him to because he needs to focus on his mechanics to the plate because he's at his best there. But David Peterson does everything at such a high level. It's it's remarkable. Having done the same job, kind of knowing the work that goes to each and every individual aspect, knowing that he's put it in and he's athletic enough to be able to handle it. It's wonderful. And I'm such a fan of his. Wonderful performance. I truly enjoy watching him pitch every fifth day.
I mean, it's no longer a hot streak. It's no longer, maybe he's turning the corner. It's becoming who David Peterson is. Ever since he returned from hip surgery last year, over 200 innings and a 2.74 ERA. That's a more at this point in current baseball, that's more than a full season's worth of innings and a sub 3 ERA, and he's looked dominant in multiple roles. I mean, he retired the first seven batters of this game. A runner didn't get past first base until the seventh inning in this game. He's maybe the best left-handed pitcher in the National League. He's got the fourth best ERA behind Senga, Skeens, and Yamamoto. And this was really special because the eighth inning felt like a logical yank point for David Peterson. It was two runners on, nobody out. He was able to navigate his way through the order there. He ends that inning with 97 pitches, and James Wood and the 3 and 4 hitters are due up in the order to follow. And if you're a Mets fan, you're thinking, well, okay, we didn't use much bullpen recently in Colorado. A lot of guys got used yesterday. This feels like a logical point for maybe Edwin Diaz to come in and just, sew up an easy save or something like that. Or Ryan Stanek, I think, was the guy warming up in the pen at that point. But he gets the ball from Carlos Mendoza. The crowd absolutely roars. It was a really special moment, and he looked great in the ninth inning, especially the strikeout against James Wood. 3 pitch K there to end it. Just a really, really special, and you could see the emotion on his face, how happy he was when he got that final out, the hug with Luis Torrens. Really, really happy for David Peterson, the human being, and really happy for the Mets. Back-to-back years they get a complete game, which there's no guarantee that you see a complete game in a full season anymore. They got one from Sevy last year. This was awesome. The first shutout by a Mets left-hander since 2019 when Steven Matz did so. And we didn't mention it, but the offense just took care of business this game. Brandon Nimmo hit 2 home runs. They conquered Jake Irvin, which was that's kind of a bugaboo for them. Jake Irvin always seems to have his best
I
start of the
wrote that
year
down.
against the New York Mets. So shout out them. They got it was Nimmo, Soto, and Alonso. They combined for 3 homers, a double, 5 RBI. The core guys getting it done. And David Peterson, maybe the de facto ace with their new injury, um, gets the job done on the mound as well.
You're so good at this, by the way.
Wow.
You nailed everything. So the emotion that David Peterson showed, I forgot to mention it, and you brought it up. He doesn't do that. Like he's
No,
stoic.
very
He's
stoic. Yes.
stoic. And for him to even express that it meant something to him at the end, talking about, these are the things you dream about.
And his post game with Gelbs, he gave us an LFGM. I don't think I've ever heard him say that, and he's been a Met for a long time.
That's it. He's not that, that kind of guy. And so for him, and he should be. I mean, baseball is so hard at that level. For that kind of performance, to be in the moment, to feel the energy, the City Field is electric.
Before we go on with today's podcast, today's episode of Shea Station is sponsored by Moomoo. If you watch Mets games like I do, I'm sure you've heard of Moomoo before because they are an official partner of the New York Mets. They're a global brokerage service that serves over 25 million users in various major countries, including the United States, Canada, Singapore, Japan, and more. Moomoo offers $0 commissions and contract fees on stocks, ETFs, and options. But unlike other brokerages, Moomoo offers a various assortment of resources, educational tools, analysis that are all free for use. To help celebrate their new partnership, they're offering up to 60 free new stocks as well as 2 seats at their suite at Citi Field for Mets games, as long as you make a qualified deposit on their app. Not to mention, all Moomoo users who have the app on their phone can get into Mets home games on Mondays for free as long as they present the app to a ticket attendee, so who knows, you might even see me at the Mets game. Go all in on Moomoo by clicking the link in the description below or scanning the QR code on the screen today. You can earn up to 60 free stocks and 8.1% on your uninvested cash for the first 3 months. Thanks again to Moomoo for sponsoring today's episode of Shea Station. Now let's get back to the Mets talk. Everything Mets in game 2 must have been such a fun game to go to if you were there. And it set up what looked like it was going to be a dream series for the Mets with this game 3. Jeff McNeil gets a start against Mike Soroka with the early 3-run homer. This version of Jeff McNeil we have not seen since 2019. It is fun to watch. Run producing Jeff, high slug Jeff. I love it. Kodai Senga. We have mentioned many times throughout this year that despite him being the ERA leader, not all the starts have looked clean. There have been some starts where you can tell he has feel for one pitch and he's just trying to make it work and fool hitters and keep them off balance. It was not the case yesterday. Kodai Senga looked absolutely dominant. It felt like everything was working. He was in the heads of Nationals hitters, blowing fastballs right down the middle with ghost forks to follow. 5 2/3, no earned runs, 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts on 77 pitches. The ERA is down to 1.47. He's starting the All-Star game. He's going to win the Cy Young. Oh no. Ground ball to first base. Pete makes a nice grab. Bad feed throw. We've seen a couple, not a couple, several bad feed throws from Pete Alonso this year. Senga leaps up, makes a very athletic play. I will say, I know it's obviously not worth it in retrospect, but he leaps up, makes the catch, extends his right foot down to touch the base. That freeze frame alone is like, this guy's an athlete, but he lands awkwardly, goes down, clutches the leg. I initially thought it was calf, and that was terrifying because we know Kodai Senga, calf injury. We know what that timetable is. We went through it last year. Turns out it is a hamstring strain. I'm not sure that news is better. His translator Hero told Pete Alonso that the strain that Senga felt the strain before he even leapt. I'm not sure if that's true. It might just be Senga being a really good teammate because you could see it on Pete Alonso's face, the devastation and all that. But Senga has to come out of the game. Mendoza has guaranteed an injured list stint. We'll see the corresponding move. It looks like it's going to be Max Kranick, but it's a tough blow because this Mets rotation has been very good and they will endure, and they're going to get Manaya and Montas back soon. But this is not the guy that you wanted bumped from this rotation because the Mets could have gone from an elite rotation to indisputably the best in baseball if Sang was able to stay. We'll see what the timetable is today, though.
It's a tough one. I mean, I've been saying that there was signs that he wasn't at his best. Some of the peripheral numbers, the lack of swing and miss, that kind of stuff. But he was still pitching. And then yesterday, he looked like he was all the way back because he kept him off again. It's a young lineup, and that's not the kind of guy you want to face as a young lineup. Um, but he was looking better and better. Um, for me personally. But watching him come down, either way, if it's true or not about what that he felt it beforehand, shout out to that's a great teammate move, regardless of if it's true or not, to say it verbally, to get him off the hook because it does him no good one way or the other. And you're right, this has been several throws like that. He's got to work on it
I
because
mean,
it's in
Keith on
his
the
head.
broadcast, I think during the Yankees series, full out said the YIPS word, which that's taboo. You're not supposed to do that, but it's
Yeah, it
felt that
looks
way.
like it. It
Yeah.
looks like it. And if he doesn't address it and go and work on it, it's going to get even worse. Um, but for Singa to take him off the hook, loved it. Like again, and my favorite part of what Senga does, besides the ghost fork, is his competitiveness. And watching him, listening to his post games, I love the way he goes about his job, and that's a key part of it. Just there's no reason for you to bury the guy. Instead, you give him a life raft. That's awesome. It's a tough one though. He's clearly like the game one starter in the playoff series, giving everything healthy because he has the easiest route to dominate somebody. Um, but these are the baseball has a way of working itself out because you've got Frankie Montas on the horizon, you've got Sean Manaea behind that, you have Paul Blackburn who's done nothing but excel as a Met. Um, that's a commodity. There was already trade talks about teams looking for him because he's sitting in the bullpen. Yeah. He'll probably slide back into the rotation before Montas and Mania get back, and Kranick is up back in the bullpen. Um, you hope it's a positive sign for me. You hope it's a short stint on the IL. They will be cautious with him, understandably, his age, his history, the need for him to be healthy from the team. The fact that he walked off on his own, it's a decent sign. But he'll be on the IL and they'll take it slow. So take your time, get back to 100%. He was had a shot at starting the All-Star game, all that like fun talk, but there's a long way. It's a long way away. It's not halfway point, but um yeah, it's going to be a tough loss, but this team has showed that they can handle it. They've shown grit and determination and the next man up mentality. They're just a really well-balanced roster. This rotation I thought was thin to begin with. They lose Montas and they lose Manaea, and now they lose Senga. We'll see. I mean, I believe in this. Whatever group that they throw together, that they're going to have enough. The bullpen's good enough to fill in those gaps if they need to go 4 innings. Um, they will miss Senga though. He's to me he's their best shot at being the ace. So
Yeah, it's just not the guy you want to lose in that spot and the way that it happened to. But I do agree, seeing him walk off the mound at the very least gave me some hope because I believe with the calf injury he was, shoulder carried at that point. And then Tyrone Taylor immediately restores the vibes with another insane diving catch in center field, which I
what
think
a
like
catch!
I think the team really needed that because it was scary. It was very reminiscent of last year's injury, a similar game too. Like Senga was dominating the Braves in 24, and then that's when he got hurt. He was dominating this team, and then he gets hurt. So I think it was good for the vibes wise to for Taylor to make such an impressive play and end the inning quickly and get everyone back in the clubhouse. Nimmo hits another home run because he's back to being Brandon Nimmo, I guess. 3 homers in his last 2 games. It was all Mets for 8 innings. It was clean. It was good. The bullpen came in, did their job, but they're still the Mets. It can't always be easy. Okay, we don't always. Game two was easy. Game two was nice. It can't always be easy. Ryan Stanek comes in for the ninth inning. The Ryan Stanek issues are still here. The splitter is not splitting. The fastball's not. It doesn't have that pinpoint command that it had in the playoffs last year. He fails to record an out in the ninth inning. 3 hits allowed. It's a day where I'm sure Carlos Mendoza wanted to avoid Edwin Diaz, give him 2 days of rest so you can use him twice in the Tampa Bay series. Doesn't look like that's going to be a possibility anymore. Diaz comes in this game. We haven't seen Diaz not start an inning in a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. He might have done that in the LA series. I'm not sure. But he comes into this game into the fire. Still is able to get his 15th save of the year. 3 inherited runners score. There was a bad Francisco Alvarez pass ball on a ball he definitely should have caught behind the plate that brought in that third run. But Diaz's nails. He preserves the win there. The Mets sweep the Nationals at home. They have the best home record in baseball, 27-7. They lead MLB with a 45-24 record, 21 games over 500 on June 13th. It is a far cry from what this team was doing at this point last year. And a big reason for that is the core offense has caught fire. We're here. It feels like it's kind of happening. Everyone's going at the same time. Francisco Lindor, Nimmo, Soto, Alonso, McNeil, the top five. Everyone's kind of going, and we'll see how sustainable it is because I think the formula for Mets success has been pitching, and one of your core guys is carrying the offense at a time. For a while, it's been Alonso for sure. But right now, it's been everyone. And I want to ask you, I put all the numbers on our sheet. What recent stretch of 12 games, 8 games, whatever the number is, what player has been most impressive to you of these five?
Well, woo, that's a good one. I mean, it's the top. It's I can't even get out what I want to say. For me, it's got to be Pete Alonso. I mean, he's got 20 RBI in June. What's the date today?
It's June 13th.
It's the 13th of June. He's got 20 RBI. Like,
Is that good?
it's unbelievable. Um, but at the same time, Juan Soto's rounding into form. You marked it since May 30th, so since the calendar turned to June. He's got 5 homer, 10 RBI, 16 runs. Stole a bag. He's got
He's
14
been
walks.
stealing. It's nice.
That's the thing. 14 walks to 8 strikeouts. Like, that's absurd. Um, yeah, then you got Lindor. This is the again, I love Francisco Lindor, and this is kind of like the evolution of his stardom. He doesn't have like super peaks, you know what I mean, where he's hitting 20 RBI in 2 weeks. He's just rakes. He is hitting 326 since that mark with 4 homers, 12 runs scored. Um,
9 toes.
Nothing crazy. 9 toes. He's at yes. But I think it's all sustainable. I really do because McNeil, since he made those adjustments and he's had consistent healthy playing time, obviously he's not going to hit 5 homers in 3 week span every 3 weeks he's going to hit 5 homers. That's not him, but his approach is different, and I think that's sustainable. His defense has gotten more consistent the more he's been out there, and he brings a dynamic to the Mets lineup that's necessary. Nimmo, I hope in the 2 hole is reverts back to his approach that he had beforehand. Um, but he's a power hitter too now, so I'm not sure. But I feel like Lindor, Soto, Alonso are easily sustainable. I think Jeff McNeil has found a resurgence since making that plate appearance adjustment, and I hope Nemo really thrives back, being back at the top of the order.
Yeah, I mean, for you, so you mentioned Alonso first, and I have to say this stat because Dalton pulled it, and it's wild. He has 20 RBI in his last 10 games. That ties Mike Piazza, Yoenis Cespedes, and Francisco Lindor for Mets RBIs in a 10-game span. It's a nice little group of four there. I like that a lot.
And that's a good four to be tied with.
And so Soto's, the power's been getting me excited. We know what Alonso's capable of. I'm going to talk less about those two and Lindor because I always kept the faith in those three. Like those three, they'll be there. They'll be producing at an elite level. You can rely on them unless there's a health concern. And while I was never on the trade Jeff McNeil bus and I never, like fully gave up on Brandon Nimmo, there was thought in my brain of like, well, these guys might not be the contributors that we want them to be. They might be league average at best. And like, maybe that's okay if they're playing multiple positions or they're playing solid defense, whatever. They've been the most impressive to me because that's what the Mets really need to be up there in the National League to win the pennant, to get to the World Series, to win the World Series is for these two guys to be contributing at the same level as well. And Nimmo has been healthy for the most part. It wasn't working in the four hole. We saw very un-Nimmo at bats. And I do think I think the guy needs to be near the top of the order. And the two hole might be the answer because in his last 8 games, 10 for 33, five extra base hits, four of them are home runs, three stolen bases. How about that? Since he's moved up to the two hole, 16 for 44, seven extra base hits, five walks to six strikeouts. That's the biggest one. Five walks to six strikeouts. Nimmo was striking out a very uncharacteristic amount. He was not working plate appearances to the Brandon Nimmo area that we'd like to see him in. He's looking like his normal self again. I don't need the guy to hit three homers in 2 games. I just need him to work quality at bats and get on in front of the big bats in front and that are behind him. And he's been doing that as of late. So that's really encouraging to me. But Jeff McNeil's been the story. Slugging the ball, the long swing. He's healthy. He's playing center field. He's playing left field. He's playing second base. He's raking 340 average in his last 13 games with five home runs. Five home runs in a 13-game span. Jeff McNeil has been doing that. It's remarkable stuff, and you can see how much it lengthens the lineup when there's just threat after threat. It makes you feel like you're watching, a Dodgers lineup or something like that, like a true offensive powerhouse when you have contributors up and down, and it allows these young guys to fail a little bit. Like Ronnie Mauricio can have a hiccup. Brett Beatty can have this lull in June. Luis Angel Acuna cannot be relied upon for a big at bat because these top five guys are just producing every time the lineup turns over. It's been really fun to watch. We mentioned at the beginning of the show, though, it still feels like it can get better. Or we mentioned it before the show, but there's still the runners in scoring position woes. They're still not always coming up with the big hit. They did it in game 1, but there's still been moments of the Mets kind of relying on an early long ball or, one guy to carry the offense at a time. So while these individual numbers are great, and you said before they feel sustainable, I think there's even room for them to grow. If it's not, necessarily higher numbers, but just clutch hits, moving the line along, getting the bottom of the order more involved. There's room for this offense to grow.
There is room for growth. There is room for improvement offensively. Luis Angel Acuna has done nothing except for maybe ask for AAA at bats. And I like the guy, and he's a spark plug. Uh, your base running is not that important, that we can call you up in September, August, September, for a run if you do it, but we need you right, especially with McNeil playing the way he is. There's no power resurgence from Vientos. Obviously, he's on the IL right now, but they've been missing that in the lineup. Francisco Alvarez has hit for absolutely no power, basically, which is a big shock. I still love this guy. I still think he's going to be great. He's 23 years old, but he hasn't progressed offensively. They just have gotten nothing from Brett Beatty's come back down to earth. It's just they're going to need those guys to be league average, to their OPS to get to even, for them to be a true threat, for a 7-game series against the Dodgers. That's how I mark everything. Um, they're going to need depth in lineup a little bit more, and they need some other guys to contribute. But when you have Soto, Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo in the 2 spot, I'll get into a little bit more. These guys producing, you're going to win a lot of ball games, and you're going to beat up on crappy teams.
That is the point blank of it. And if there was ever a thing to complain about the Mets right now, I guess it is that. But at the same time, these guys are playing such good baseball. Bullpen, rotation, just great performances through and through. There's been quiet cold streaks. Beatty, we mentioned before, he's hitting 135 in June. He's come back down to earth, and he was carrying this team's offense for a 2 week stretch there in May. So I think he's earned a little bit of a struggle bus there, but we'll need him to get back. And you know what? He's kind of had this thing where he needs someone breathing over his shoulder to perform, and maybe with Vientos coming back on the horizon, he'll get back to his ways. But outside of Stanek and Canning in the on the pitching side of things, everyone's just been playing good baseball against teams they should beat. And there are real tests around the corner. We got the Rays this weekend and then the Braves and Phillies coming up on a 6 game road trip. But I have all the confidence in the world in this team right now. And it's easy to see why.
I do too. And I think, Nimmo being, I'm just going to touch on Nimmo real quick before we get into the overall. Nimmo being in the two hole for me is ideal because he's not again, to me and my completely own bias, he's either first or second in the order, or he's eighth or ninth in the order. You can't push this guy, seven, eight, nine. You can't put him in the heart of the order. It changes his approach too much. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe he has the same approach and he's just walking more, or whatever the case may be. But I think Nimmo is at his best when he's working counts, looking to get on base, and then driving the ball from there. I think he's at his best. And for Mendoza to work these, to push Soto out of the two hole, just in general, takes some guts.
Yeah.
To move Alonso from 3 to 4, to you're not guaranteeing him, an at bat in the first inning, which is gutsy to move him out of that as well. But it fits right to me. The Marte, I hope Marte stays hot, but I love Nimmo batting second there. I love Lindor leadoff, obviously. I love Nimmo there, and then Soto Alonso. That four, that's devastating. Um, but yeah, man, the bullpen is how it is. You're gonna, have hiccups and guys shuffle in the circle of trust. The hierarchy will forever be moving outside of Diaz. And they have enough pieces. It's just a really, really good baseball team playing really good baseball, beating up on teams that they should beat up on, battling, teams that they should like are that are the best. They're just simply in the top tier of teams in MLB, and they're showing it on a daily basis, and it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, they're one late game Dodgers meltdown from an 8 game win streak. They've won 11 of their last 13, 15 of their last 18. The last thing on the Nimmo two hole thing is that you got to remember that when 2022 Mets, when they were going and when they were fun, and Nimmo was leading off every day, he was like a dream leadoff hitter. He would work starting pitchers for 10 pitch at bats to kick off a game. He would draw walks with relative ease. And you could tell that he was super comfortable there. And I'm sure it was difficult for him to lose that spot so that Lindor could flourish and turn into the superstar we knew he was capable of being. If this is the answer, then great, because what a 1-2 punch to basically guarantee you get a runner on in front of the two big bats every time they come up to the plate. So Mendoza Mendoza has figured it out again, and I can't wait to see what lineup shift comes next because I'm sure there will be another one. Maybe it's Jeff McNeil's going to hit ninth again. I have no idea, but he'll figure it out, and I trust him. And it's really nice to have a manager you trust. It's really nice to know, hey, you know what? We're probably not going to do the whole 2 years with a manager and then fire him again because it feels like Mendoza's here to stay. And it feels like he's gotten the full trust of this roster, a very talented roster that's playing very good baseball in front of very electric crowds at home. And they've got another weekend series at home coming up against your Tampa Bay Rays, who have also been playing good baseball, 4 games above 500. So keep an eye out for those pesky Rays. The Mets are going to get three very different types of pitchers in this series: Taj Bradley, Drew Rasmussen, and Shane Baz. And we'll have Clay Holmes, Tyler McGill, and Griffin Canning going for us. 27-7 at home. The odds are ever in our favor to win another series here. It's tough to go to Citi Field and beat the Mets, which is not always a sentence I've said in the past. And I feel very proud as a fan that I'm able to say it with my full chest.
Oh, I love that so much. I truly do. The team, dude. First of all, I wrote down two things. Carlos Mendoza, I want to say it will be pushing Davy Johnson for record book wins as a Mets if they're smart. I have, and I've had nothing but reassurance by the way he's handled himself. They've got a guy. They have their, a franchise builder, decade in a uniform plus if they can keep a hold of that. But this organization's in such a good spot. This is the build that they wanted. They're moving forward. I think it's so fun. And when you invest in the team as from an ownership standpoint, uh, the players that you invest in perform, the team starts winning, and the people show up for you. If you build it, they will come, if you will. They built a contender, and the fans came, like to support, to show, like, I invested in this. Will you reinvest in me? And so we can play this fun. Be that for forever. That would be amazing. The team keeps winning. You guys keep showing up to the ballpark. It's a beautiful ballpark. I really do love Citi Field. It's a fun experience, and it's electric to watch. Like I haven't missed that part of it except for playoff baseball. As a retired athlete, I miss the competition. Mostly, I miss the the clubhouse and the camaraderie of guys in the trenches with you. But I miss playing in front of an electric crowd. Like I've been itching, getting that nostalgia for play. It feels like playoff baseball. It is intimidating for an opposing team that's not seasoned to come into Citi Field, play against a team that they know are powerhouse, and then just to get their absolute ears rattled every time something happens in the stadium. It's awesome, and it comes across so well on TV and radio.
And I mean, you could tell with this really young Nats team, which, the Nats haven't made the playoffs since 19. A lot of these guys are rookies or sophomores or young players. It might have been one of the louder environments they've ever played in. And you could tell that the Mets fed off that and then that the Nationals played almost, not, I don't want to say in fear of that, but it was in their heads that this crowd was living and dying on every pitch and loud when things went the Mets' way. And I think that there is a true home field advantage at Citi Field for really the first time in my life. I mean, we felt it come alive a little bit in September last year, but there was 38,000 people there on a Tuesday night when the entire day it was pouring rain and there was no guarantee that the game would even get in. And I think that is just a textbook symbolic example of the difference of build it and they will come. Steve Cohen essentially challenged Mets fans to start showing up to the ballpark with more frequency, and they've answered the bell. It's not even the school's not even out yet. Like the crowds could get crazier. It could get even more difficult to get to a Tuesday game at Citi Field because the place is hot and fans want to be there in the stands because this team.
School's not out yet?
No, my girlfriend's teaching for another 2 weeks.
What?
I know it's wild.
My kids have been out of school for like a month, it feels like.
I'll wait till they grow up a little bit more. High school, and they're gonna be out there till the end of June. It's tough.
All school in my area is already out.
Maybe it's a Jersey thing then. I don't know.
Might be a
Comment
Jersey.
down below. Jerry, I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
I don't. I've got a nap in my future. I
Hell
promise you.
yeah. I think you've earned it. You talked your butt off here.
This was a good one. You're incredible as always. It's a
You,
pleasure to
you.
do this with you. Thank you for tuning in, and let's go Mets.
Let's go, Mets. Thank you for listening. Leave a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Leave us a review. Leave us a rating. Apple Pod, Google Pod, all that good stuff. We appreciate you. It's probably too late to get your Father's Day present as Field of Dreams whiskey, but it's still a good product to buy. So check out the link in the description. The link is fixed, by the way. I saw a couple people commenting about that.
Oh,
And LFGM. Let's go, Mets.
let's go Mets.
Shay Station, Jerry and Charlie. Shay Station, Jerry and Charlie. Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will see you next time where we'll be back.
Station.